short on the hit to John Wright. That's his speciality.
Wright goes for it again, and he gets it through mid-wicket. A magnificent strike from John Wright to bring up his 12th Test 100. Wright is 101, and he's blazing.
I sort of thought when I was in the 80s, I thought, God, right, if you get to 90 and blow it again, you know, people are going to say he's choked again and whatnot. And then I thought, well, what the hell anyway, you know. I'd been pleased with 90 at the start of the game, but I was determined with the new ball, if the ball was there, I was going to hit it. And, you know, fortunately, it passed pretty quickly through the 90s, and that one that went for 4 would take me to 101, felt great.
Well, a marvellous partnership between these two players. Over 200 now. John Wright has his century. They're waiting now for Andrew Jones. Beautifully timed shot by Jones. Forward of the square. Ramprakash can give that away. That's 4 more. Jones gets a hold of this one. It's gone high in the air. And is bouncing away to the fence for 4 runs. Oh, he's hooked it away. Has he got hold of it? Yes, he has. It's 4 runs and 100 runs for Andrew Jones. Marvellous shot, marvellous innings.
I was really keen to do well in this test. And it's just a matter, you know, with that sort of wicket of just sort of concentrating ball and waiting for the bad one to come along.
And the bad ball certainly came along. When they did, Andrew Jones really cashed in. Jones making a marvellous century, his 6th in Test cricket. John Wright making his 12th Test century, and the two involved in a record partnership of 241 runs. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to One World of Sports coverage of Day 4 of this third Bank of New Zealand Test match here at the Basin Reserve in Wellington. And once again, the harbour capital has on its best clothes as we look towards the south to Government House, with Dame Kath not in residence at the moment, we understand, but plenty of blue sky above us, just some light fluffy cloud, and these grandstands at the Basin Reserve are sure to fill up as the day's play progresses. Out in the middle, that pitch is surely going to be drying out even more under the influence of this hot sun, and it's going to be a continuation, one imagines, of a fairly slow-paced pitch, one offering some assistance for the spin bowlers. Well, let's take a look at the scoreboards then at the end of Day 3, with New Zealand 340 for 6 wickets, with Rod Latham on 12 in his first Test match. Chris Cairns yet to score, and New Zealand at the moment 35 runs on from the England score of 305. Here's the England bowling figures. Phil de Freitas didn't bowl yesterday because of injury. David Lawrence has only taken 1 wicket, that of Blair Hartland. That was back on Friday. Phil Tufnell and Graham Hick were the 2 bowlers that did most of the work yesterday. Ian Botham and Dermot Reeve had some unsuccessful overs in terms of taking wickets. Now the players making their way out towards the middle on this sunny day at the Basin Reserve. So Richard Illingworth is coming out to substitute again for the England team. Graham Gooch leading out the side, followed by Jack Russell, the wicket keeper. Alex Stewart, the vice-captain, in behind him. Good-sized crowd again for the start of the 4th day. Richard Illingworth, the substitute, with the cream across his nose, followed by Graham Hick, David Lawrence there. And Dermot Reeve in the background. Now, in the bowels of the R.A. Barnes stand, here come the New Zealand batsmen. Chris Cairns leading the way, with chunky Rod Latham out behind him. Cairns yet to score, Latham on 12. Both of these players by nature are aggressive batsmen, and New Zealand will be looking to have them use their aggressive talents this morning if possible. But as we've mentioned, the batting conditions are not necessarily the easiest. The pitch is slow, and the spinners are going to be in plenty of work, surely. Chris Cairns to face. We'll hear more from Sir Richard later in the morning. In the meantime, let's go to John Morrison and Henry Blofeld.
Thank you, Peter. Well, another lovely day, as you've seen, at the Basin Reserve, and a very good morning to Henry Blofeld.
My dear Oping, good morning to you. Isn't this marvellous, this Wellington weather?
Oh, superb, superb, Henry.
I've never known it behave itself so well.
Don't you believe it? So the first ball of the 4th morning of this 3rd Test match, and a very quiet delivery. Graham Hick, the bowler, and Graham Hick into his 55th over of this innings. That's incredible.
Yes, there's sort of old-fashioned look about the bowling analysis. The 2 spinners both bowled well over 50 overs. This was the sort of thing that used to happen sort of 50 years ago.
himself a bit of room. He's got it through. What a good shot. Didn't seem to have much power, but it just sped away off the bat. Struggling a bit out there on the boundary, but it's made it. A long chase for the skipper, Graham Gooch, but he couldn't catch it. So the first runs of the morning.
Wasn't that a marvellously timed stroke? He didn't have much room to play it. It wasn't that short, and he hit it quite beautifully. No effort at all. Lovely, graceful stroke. What a good player this chap's going to be. I mean, he is a good player now, but he's going to be a real world beater, I think.
Yes. As you say, Henry, he didn't seem to hit it that hard, but it just seemed to keep going. I was very surprised at the pace it was going.
He has your natural gift of timing, I think.
How nice of you to say so. And here's another run, just hitting it wide-ish to mid-on. And Alex Stewart, who I thought fielded, he was probably the pick of the English yesterday in the field.
Amazing cricketer, Alex Stewart. He's not quite a dab hand at keeping wicket, and does that in the one-day internationals for England. He's a splendid fielder. He's got a lovely arm.
So there we are, Chris Cairns. 5 matches, average 19.42, but remember that 61 in Christchurch, that was a superb innings.
Yes, that night. Well, yes, awesome footmarks mysteriously appearing outside the off
Put
stump.
on the big number 12s and with the big spikes and run straight up and down the middle of the pitch. Don't do that sort of thing, of course, do we, Henry?
Perish the thought.
Catch it!
Driving fairly solidly. There's a misfield out there as Lawrence takes most of the pace off, but a single to Latham.
Extraordinary piece of fielding. I thought it was past him, and it seemed to hit him somewhere rather chunkily on the left leg and bounce away. I think the left leg, in fact, saved 3 runs.
So it was in the air for a way, wasn't it?
Lawrence gets into all...
A lot more technically correct.
Yes, Lance was a bit sort of up boys and atom, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Off the back foot. He's thumped that one, and that's a beauty. Long chase for Lawrence. He does well.
That was a splendid stop, wasn't it?
Yes, he's certainly energetic out there. He's not what you'd call graceful, I suppose, but he gets the job done.
Yes, we saw, didn't we, in Christchurch, what a marvellous player off the back foot Cairns is when he and Patel were together in the New Zealand first innings.
Down the wicket, driving, and he'll pick up another single. So well played, Chris Cairns. He looks like he's wanting to get on with the job.
Yes, I think there's little doubt as to the instructions. He was
Down well, Chris Cairns.
Yes, that's a good start to a test career, isn't it?
Yes.
37 wickets at just over 25 apiece.
It's nice when you get a good start, isn't it? It's like Ken Rutherford, he had such a dreadful start. Admittedly, it was with the batting, but it's a hard job to drag the average up.
Aye!
Loud appeal, but that's...
Yes, I don't know. He's one of the great appealers.
Yes, more appeals than the Red Cross.
There was no conceivable way that pitched outside the line and then spun further away. I mean, he obviously wanted to clear his throat.
Must have. Oh, that's an interesting shot from Cairns, but it's fruitful. We'll pick up 2.
It was a sort of flicked sweep, wasn't it? Extraordinary. I don't think you'd find that in many coaching books.
No. The sort of pedal flip. Yes, he kept it down rather well.
Yes, he did. I dare say he was perhaps a little bit lucky. Anyway.
Yes, well, that's the end of the over. Yes, the degree of difficulty was quite high on that one.
I think it was a shot that brought a furrow to the brow of Geoffrey Boycott. I'm not sure, sitting behind me.
Yeah.
I'm not certain he'd have played that.
No, and he wouldn't be very happy with anyone who did. So there's little Jack Russell, the keeper. I wonder if he slept in his hat again.
He always does his best to sort of hide his face, doesn't he?
Yes.
It's very difficult to hide behind your gloves.
I suppose a few comments could go with that, Henry, but we'll leave it.
My dear thing.
Oh, over-pitched. Swung away. Thank you very much. Well hit by Latham.
Yes, that was a gift horse. Hadley. lovely type bowler, don't they?
Yes, you can't just go up in the stand and find one, can you? Oh, down the wicket, over the top, well hit, and that's 4 runs.
What a fine stroke that was, and Cairns really showing this morning that he doesn't favour anything.
At 30 miles an hour. Set against the magnificent Serengeti Plains, they are known as the wild dogs of Africa.
And one further run.
I always say to young players, the best way, as you wax it down to long on, is to catch the captain's attention, is to bat and bowl well. You don't have to talk about it then.
Smith through mid-wicket, his favourite shot, and he gets a single as well. And so that is 1 to Ian Smith. He'll retain the strike off the last ball of the over. It's 390 now for 7. In that cover area. Umpire Brian Aldridge.
Ian Smith have a dart at that shot. It's almost a lap, come half lap, half slog.
Noticed in the previous over, umpire Brian Aldridge having a yarn with Philip Tufnell about no balling.
This is the man, Alan.
Seems to be enjoying his work. And one has to credit Ian Smith with... I noticed in the previous over, umpire Brian Aldridge having a... yarn with Philip Tufnell about no balling.
This is the man, Alan Lamb. There's also a man behind here for the sweep.
Got a hold of this one. He's got it quite fine, though, down to the man, Graham Hick. That's a fine leg, and one further run for Ian Smith. So Smith into double figures. New Zealand up to 392 now for 7. New Zealand making excellent progress this morning, starting at 340 for 6. So 52 runs have been added in just under an hour for the loss of Rod Latham, who was out for 25.
Smith driving and running quickly, hitting it straight down to Lawrence. And that's good thinking by Ian Smith, picking out David Lawrence, who's not all that quick in the field.
So Ian Smith on strike, and Tufnell, it seems, and Hick seem to be bowling forever, don't they, Henry?
Well, yes, it's extraordinary. They've been on. I mean, I suppose if they're still bowling after lunch, it'll be 24 hours since there was a bowling change.
So Smithy back at the crease. Oh, he could be out. No, it's over the top. Good shot.
Just looking from where we are, quite high up, I felt like you initially, that it was down Gooch's throat.
Yes, we're very high in this advanced stand, and looking from that angle, it didn't seem to be going that high, but he hit it a lot better than we gave him credit for. And it went well clear.
Yes, that was a good bottom-handed blow, wasn't it?
Well, that's positive stuff. And he's gone again. This is a lot higher, but it will probably, yes, it stopped. It's the old chip to the green, that one. Now, what'll he do, Graham Gooch? I wonder if he'll put someone back there. That's old Smithy's sort of cross between the on drive and the sweep, and he gets it somewhere in between, doesn't he?
Cross, I think, in fact, between the on drive and the slog,
yes.
Rather nearer the slog. Yes, he's good-looking young lad, isn't he?
You're looking envious, Henry. So Jack Russell racing after this one. And there's the 400 for New Zealand. So 400 up with a leg by.
Well, they're enjoying it up there on the hill, on the grassy banks. It's a lovely family scene here today. I say, all that food on the table. It's a splendid idea. Ian Smith's a jolly useful chap to have in. He thumps away with that bottom hand, doesn't he?
Yes.
And of course, one scored 170 against India, thumping away with that bottom hand.
It wasn't a bad effort, was it? Oh, he's got hold of that one better, and that'll go away for 4. Alan Lamb had no chance. And again, Graham Hick just dropping short and a little wide.
Yeah, Hick has not bowled with the same control as he had yesterday, I don't think. I think Tufnell's looked rather better of the two today.
Yes, no question about that. Maybe he's just a bit tired and he's not used to a long spell. This certainly has been a long one. He's into his This certainly has been a long one. He's into his 65th over.
Yes, it's an awful lot of overs, isn't it?
Oh, it's bowled. Well, the big slog, and he missed it, and it hit the stumps.
So, at any rate, Hick may not have been the best of the spinners today, but he's the most successful. Picked up a couple of wickets. He's now got 4 for 116, I think it is.
Yes, New Zealand losing their 8th wicket with Ian Smith, and tossed up. He decided to go for it and missed it. Spun a bit, hit what, mainly leg stump, didn't it? So Ian Smith, a brief but exciting innings. 21, he's gone, and... Well,
and now we're going to have Murphy's Sewer to see if he can continue the good work of that 36 in the second innings at Auckland.
yes, that was a super little innings, wasn't it?
Well, he hit one at Tufnell, didn't he, for one colossal 6.
Yes. Must have been mainly nerves, because when he came out in the second innings, he showed that he's capable of hitting the ball and hitting it rather well.
And that's exactly the reason that he's coming in now. Smithy having a tremendous wipe there and missing. And the middle leg stumps taking the damage, but it didn't go very quickly, and I don't think stump vision will have had a nasty shock that time.
Today commences 12:30. Stumps 5:30.
Hole basically in behind the pads, and he's got his field pretty well protected, obviously, out there. There we are. There's 2 men on the boundary, one deep backward square, one deep forward square. And he swept a little bit uppish, but
And Richard Illingworth at short fine leg has at last stopped one.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Not many have done that. I think the last one to have done it was back in 1959. He did it in 1991 in England. And the one before that was Intikhab Alam for Pakistan.
Oh, he swung it away, so he's off the mark, Murphy Sewer. There's a man down deep there. Big David Lawrence.
Lawrence is intriguing in the field because whenever the ball goes to him, it's an event, isn't it? I mean, something happens. He either 60, I'm reliably informed.
Yes, I think the old sailing ships used to come up here for a bit of safe anchorage, perhaps. But,
yes, a bit of R&R in downtown Wellington.
That's right. Oh, he's gone for the drive. He's got it through, Murphy Sewer. Didn't quite time it right, but he'll pick up a very comfortable 2. Looking for the 3rd, but it's not there.
He's got a lovely, easy swing of the bat, hasn't he? I mean, it looks an elegant stroke.
Yes, on a pitch that's not coming on, holding up a bit. He followed through beautifully there.
But it was, yes, I thought he hit it pretty well. But it was, yes, I thought he hit it pretty well, I must say.
So here's another run on the leg side. I think it's only 1 they'll get. So Murphy Sewer onto 4.
So, declaration at lunch, do you think? Or will they, New Zealand, go on until the bitter end?
I've got a feeling they'll go on to the bitter end, but... standing
As
up.
can Daniel Morrison, who's batted for 4 hours in a test match, hasn't he, once?
Yes. So that's the end of the over, 409 for 8.
Tonight.
So Philip Tufnell again, bowling from the northern end of the Basin Reserve. No